Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Jordan Denzer back with a new video. I hope everybody is having a great day today and a great week so far. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I am Jordan Denzer. Hope you guys smile today, hope you're having a wonderful day, and never listen to people who are going to try to bring you down because you're awesome and amazing just the way you are. But if you are subscribed and are returning, welcome back. So, a lot of you may or may not know that I am on the autism spectrum, and also what you may not know or do know is that April is Autism Awareness Month, and it's a very special month for me because I'm getting to celebrate autism and spreading awareness for it. And I've wanted to do this video for a long time. Of course, I've shared little bits of what it's like having autism and sharing like bits of my experience. But I'm very excited about today's video because I'm going to be sharing like my full story of what it's been like growing up being on the spectrum, and just sharing both the highs and lows of having autism. And I hope that this helps anybody out who may be new to being on the spectrum, or if you're somebody who knows someone that's on the spectrum but may not know what to do in certain situations. I hope that sharing my story, it may help you guys. And yeah, so I'm very excited and I can't wait to tell you guys my story. For those that don't know what autism is, it's a complex developmental disability where it's hard to communicate and interact with others. And autism is actually very different in a lot of people, depending on like if it's very severe in some people, if it's not, or if it's not even noticeable for some people. So, of course, a lot of you know that I was 2 years old when I got diagnosed, but what you may not know is that the type of autism I actually have is Asperger's syndrome. And basically that just means people who have it are very high functioning, can do pretty much anything, and it's not very noticeable. Not unless like somebody tells you they have that type of autism, or if it like is noticeable in some situations. So I wanted to let you guys know that. So if you were like curious like why it was like not very noticeable in me, that's because like Asperger's syndrome is the type of autism I have, and that was the type of autism that I got diagnosed with when I was 2. And so growing up, it was much more severe when I was little as a toddler, when I was a kid, but as I got older, it started changing, and some things didn't become as much hard as it was when I was little. But like when I was much younger, my mom had noticed, I asked a lot of questions from my parents as I got older, like what things they had noticed. And from what my mom had told me, because she had noticed more than my dad, was she noticed that I was doing things very early on, like in the developmental stage. Like I would sit up early, crawl early, walk early. But at the same time, she noticed I had like delays in certain areas. Like I had delay in my speech, in my talking. Like I verbally couldn't speak until I was maybe about 4, from what she told me. And I had a lot of sensory issues with like touch, taste, hearing, seeing. And so it's like my only way of communicating when I was little was by screaming or pointing at something to like let somebody know what I was trying to tell them, and by screaming and yelling. And I didn't like to be touched growing up, so like the only person that I felt comfortable being touched by was my dad. And so like one of the things he would do to help me calm down, because I would get very overwhelmed, and I still get very overwhelmed by being around a lot of people. So anytime when I was little, somebody would pass me off to somebody else, or I'd be around a lot of people, I would just cry and just get overwhelmed. And so with that, one of my parents would have to stay home with me from church on Sunday nights, so I wouldn't get very overwhelmed. And my dad would always hug me as a way to help me calm down, and he still does that with me to this day. When I get like very upset or very overwhelmed or just aggravated about something, he'll hug me, and it's very comforting for me. Nowadays, I still don't like being touched unless like I'm around somebody I'm familiar with and comfortable with. Like I'll let people touch me who I'm comfortable being around with. But other than that, like I really did not like being touched. Like I would only let my family touch me and like come up and hug me and stuff, like do a high five. And when I was younger, with like my sensitivity with touch and stuff, like I was a very, very picky eater just because some textures of food just didn't feel comfortable in my mouth. So the only things that I would eat as a child was like chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, and pizza. And so it's like trying new foods was like a big thing I had trouble with, just because like certain textures of food just still bug me. And nowadays, it's like a lot of my favorite foods were things that I did not eat as a child, which was very, very surprising. But like as I got older, I didn't become quite as picky as much. Once like I tried something, if I really liked it, I would eat it. But if I didn't like it, I wouldn't touch it. And like some of the things I still don't eat to this day, like I still don't like eating all ground potatoes, Salisbury steak. Still not a big fan of sloppy joes, even though I finally tried it. The taste of it's great. It's just the texture is what bugs me. So like those things I still don't eat to this day just because of the texture and just how it tasted in my mouth. The biggest problem I did have growing up with being on the spectrum was shopping for clothes was a big problem I had, just because with clothes there's like certain fabrics I don't like wearing just because it kind of feels itchy on my skin. And when I was younger, it was very, very hard. So whenever I was at home, my mom would just keep me in a t-shirt and a diaper just because that was what I was comfortable in. And the one thing she did learn that I did ask was she noticed that there was these one pair of shoes that I just loved wearing so much as a little girl, that she really wished she would have gotten like more pairs and like bigger sizes so that I could be able to wear it much longer. So whenever I go shopping now, it takes me a bit of time because I like to look around, and if I see something like, I'll like feel the fabric of it just to see if I like it or not. And then I'll go in the dressing room and try it on just to see if I like it or not, depending on how it feels on my skin. And if I really, really like it, I will wear it more times than I can keep count. But then, like, occasionally I'll wear something that I may like for a little bit. And when I was younger, like, going shopping with my mom, it was hard to kind of, like, let her know if there was something I didn't like. But she can, like, kind of tell from my facial expression that I didn't like it. So it was kind of hard to speak up whenever going shopping for like clothes or shoes. Stuff like that was hard. But nowadays, it's like when I go shopping by myself, or it's like I'll ask somebody like, what do you think about this on me? And so, and even like with t-shirts, it's like I have to like go one size up in like an extra large, because with t-shirts like this, I like to wear them much longer. And plus, it gives me enough room to breathe in it. So that's like why my t-shirts are like always one size up. So it's like I can wear them much longer. And I love the really soft fabrics, like with blankets and stuff, just because it feels really soft. And I like how it feels on my skin. I don't really like wearing sweaters or like turtlenecks as much, just because it bothers me. And especially with sweaters like around Christmas time, with like the fabric being so itchy, it's like I can't stand it. It's like I have to wear long sleeves under the sweater just so it doesn't like bother me as much. But like anytime I tried something new, like everything that's like maybe so simple for other people to do would be considered a big victory for me. So it's like anytime I tried something new or did something out of my comfort zone, that was like a very big victory for me. And as I got older, things had started becoming a bit easier. And now it's, like I said, now I love a lot of foods that I used to hate as a kid just because of being such a picky eater. And I've really stepped out of my comfort zone a lot. And yeah. With having autism, I didn't really realize this happened a lot, but I do have trouble keeping eye contact. So if you like go back and watch a bunch of my videos, like notice like my eyes will turn away. So it's like filming right now, it doesn't look like, when I'm filming my videos, I'm like looking straight at the camera, but when I go back and watch it, like my eyes tend to move without realizing it. And so people who have autism have trouble keeping eye contact, even though we don't do it on purpose. It's just that happens. And if you could tell in a lot of my videos, I move my hands a lot. It's because I fidget with my hands, and it's like I have to do something with my hands because I can't keep still. And it's like even with standing, like sometimes I can't stand still for very long, so it's like I have to like bend one of my legs and stand still on one of my other legs, and I don't like really change in plans as much, so it's like adjusting to having a change in plans, it gets me a bit flustered. So it's like I ask a lot of questions if we're like planning to go on a trip or a vacation or doing an event one day. I ask what we're doing, what's going to be happening, and if something gets changed last minute, I get a little frustrated, and it's like I have to ask him like what we're doing now. And I get very overwhelmed when traveling, especially like if we're going out of town or flying. I get very overwhelmed at airports because it's like so much going on, and whenever I get nervous, I laugh. That's something my mom had really noticed much whenever I would get nervous, and I still get very anxious when traveling. And to this day, when I go to like doctor's appointments, the dentist, or the hospital, or even my plasma appointments, I still get very nervous because I don't like being poked with needles still, but I'm not as afraid of needles now as much as I was growing up, but I still get very nervous and anxious going to like doctor's appointments, dentists, plasma appointments. So it's like stuff like that, but once I've done it more and more, I don't get as nervous as much. But if I get very, very anxious or nervous, I have to have one of my parents come with me to places, so because I have trouble understanding, it takes a bit for me to be able to process and understand something. And so growing up, going to school, it was very, very hard because I just had trouble understanding, and I'm a visual learner, so if you show me how to do something like visually, it will help me understand better. And sometimes I have trouble understanding, like when I'm reading something on paper, I have trouble understanding it, so I had to ask people multiple times like if they could explain to me. And the reason why, and it's like I said, I have trouble processing and understanding, so it's like I had to ask a lot of questions, the same question over and over again until I could be able to understand it. And for some people, it may be like I'm trying to do it on purpose, but I'm not. But it's sometimes because they don't know about my delays and things. And so I had to do speech therapy after school from when I was very little up until 8th grade. And that really, really helped me a lot. And then when I got up to about middle school all the way up to high school, I would do double block classes for math just so I could have like an extra hour to have time to do my work and have extra help. And some of my classes in school would have two teachers, like the main teacher and the assistant teacher, so they could be able to help me out. And I was very, very grateful for that because it really helped me out, and I was able to understand a little bit better once they had explained and showed me what to do. And one of the things that I had really, really struggled with being on a spectrum was being able to talk to people. Like when I was in school, like it was very hard being able to go up to somebody and talk to them. Like for a lot of people, it would be so easy, but for me, it was very, very hard because I just would get so nervous, and a lot of people didn't really understand that it was because I was autistic, and they didn't really know just how hard it was for me. So it like took a bit for me to open up to people. And once I like got to know somebody better, I became very comfortable around them and just would be easy to talk to and would open up much easier. As I gotten older, I still struggle with that. Like, I still get nervous and anxious when I meet new people. But, like, it's like I said, once I get to know a new person and just, like, find out what they like and don't like, and if we have something common, like, it gets easy for me to be able to talk to them and interact with them. So, it's like when I was a kid, it was hard to go and play with other kids just because it was so noisy, and it was so noisy around me, and I just would get overwhelmed, and I still didn't like being touched. And it's only like when I'm around people I'm very familiar with, and if I like know somebody very well and you like show me a picture of them, like I could easily tell you so much about that person and who they are. And to this day, it's still hard for me to like memorize people's names, but it's like if I see their face, it's like I can instantly know who they are, and that just helps me. And it's still hard for me to open up to people, but it's gotten a lot better, and I've been able to be more honest with my family and my friends. And I would say like the one thing that is more harder now about being on the spectrum as an adult is dating is one thing that I still struggle with, just because I have trouble picking up on social cues. That's another thing with autism that I do still struggle with, is picking up on social cues. It's hard for me to know whether or not if someone's being serious about something or just joking around or messing with me. It's hard for me to know if they're doing that just to mess with me or if they're being serious. And so stuff like that with like social cues and expressing myself is hard. And with having trouble talking when I was a kid, it was hard to express myself. Like if I was feeling upset or if someone was bullying me, it was hard to speak up and be able to stand up for myself and talk. Like if someone was messing with me, the only person that I could trust going to talk to about those things was my mom, because she understood how I was, how I thought, and with the things about having autism. And so it was hard to to stand up for myself at school and be able to talk or try to get out what I was trying to say. And anytime if I'm trying to say something, it's like in my head, I know exactly what I want to say, but then when I try to get it to come out, I get very frustrated easily, just because it's hard to get out what I'm trying to say. And so when that happens, I get very, very, very frustrated in myself, and it's like, man, it's like, why can't I talk today? So it's like stuff like that just gets me frustrated, but it's gotten a bit easier, and so I'm very thankful for that. But like trying to do stuff to get out of my comfort zone was very, very hard, and I would get very, very overwhelmed, and I just like, it would just shut me down. And whenever I would get very overwhelmed, especially like at school events, church, or like on vacation, traveling, I would get very overwhelmed to the point like I would have to let somebody know that I was going out to the side for a little bit to just calm down and de-stress from everything. And sometimes I have to have somebody come with me just so I don't feel very nervous being by myself. When I'm by myself for a few minutes, I can handle it, but for a while, if it's like for a long time being by myself, it just makes me more nervous. And so that's why if I'm like going to church camp or like going on vacation with my family or going to a concert with somebody, my parents like let them know to stay with me just so they can make sure they know where I'm at, and it just helps me not feel as stressed and overwhelming. So that definitely helps. With growing up on the autism, even though there were some things that I did struggle with, especially with like being able to talk to people, there were actually a lot of other things that were very easy for me to do, and I didn't realize that this was some of the things that were like cool things about autism that I didn't know until I got much older and did more research on. So growing up, my dad had really noticed this a lot, especially with music, and you guys know how important music is in my life and how it plays a big part in my autism. So growing up, my dad had noticed that I was able to remember something after either seeing or listening to it multiple times, to the point like I could easily like tell you the storyline of a movie or a TV show, or like tell you about the song I just listened to. And he noticed that like I would just pick up on it real quick, like after having listened to it so many times. And that's the really cool thing about autism, is that we're really good at memorizing a lot of things. It's like my love with BTS. Like after I had learned more about the group and have listened to their music so much, like I could easily tell you so many facts about them, and a lot of people would be very surprised with what I would tell them if it was like about my favorite group or a TV show. And it's like I could be able to explain to them much easier about it. And when people who are on this who are on the spectrum and they love something so much that like, they'll know so much about it and be able to just tell you about it, and it's very surprising. And growing up in school, I was very, very good at math, and whenever I was at school and it came to math, it just was so easy for me. Of course, I did struggle in science just because it was hard for my brain to process and understand it, but when it came to math, it was just so easy for me. Like, I was so good at math that when I was a freshman in junior high, when I took Bridge to Algebra 1 for 9th grade, I was so good at that, like, the highest A I had gotten was 110%. Like, that's how good it was. Like, that's how good I was at math, and it was just so easy. So it's like, I'm still good with numbers to this day. So it's like, with counting cash or, like, just solving math problems out on paper, it just comes easy. So it's like, with addition and subtraction, I just, multiplying and dividing is basically just adding and subtracting, and that's just what has always helped me easy. And with, like, music was a big thing that really helped me. Of course, like, you guys know that I didn't start really get interested in music until I was 9. And that's, like, what had really helped me come out of my comfort zone and really helped me express myself verbally. And so it was, like, stuff like musicals and dancing to, like, watching musicals on Disney Channel and the Disney Channel movies and listening to my favorite music was something that really helped me express myself through, like, dancing and singing mostly. And, like, I can play 2 instruments, the piano and the trombone, and so it's like stuff like that just really helped me express myself. And I am really good at art. Like, I didn't get really good at art until 9th grade when I got all of my artwork back. I was very, very surprised, just blown away that I didn't realize how good I was at it until I got all my artwork. And having to, like, look at a picture or something, if I'm, like, drawing it and doing it, like, step by step, really helps me follow the steps very easy. It's like I had to do it step by step, because if I don't do it and there's, like, 90 instructions, it gets me overwhelmed. But, like, stuff like art and music is something that I love so much, and it's just helped me express myself. And I'm good at, like, remembering, like, numbers and stuff, like anniversaries, birthdays, or, like, if there's an event coming up, like, I'll remember specifically, like, what day it's on. And that's just what has helped me so much. And of course, like, since I started singing at 9 was, of course, you guys know I started singing when I was 9 around the same time that I had found out from my mom that I was on the spectrum. And so I've loved it since then, and I'm just so thankful that I've been able to use music as a way to help me express myself. And I also love to make videos, and for me, singing and making videos has been a big blessing for me, because it's really helped me express myself and just allowed me to step out of my comfort zone and show people who I am. And I just think that's so cool. And another thing that I forgot to mention with, like, my struggle with social cues is that I'm also very sensitive to what people say to me. So it's like I said, with, like, the social cues, it's hard for me to know if someone's being serious or joking around. So anytime somebody's saying to me, it's, like, hard for me to know if they're just joking around or being serious. But, like, of course, a lot of you do know that I did get bullied growing up, and that was very, very hard for me with my autism. And it's like I said, it was very hard for me to be able to stand up and be able to defend for myself, especially with bullying. It was so much harder for me. So whenever I got bullied and somebody had said something mean to me, it really had hurt my feelings, and it was, like, had hurt my feelings so much to the point, if it was, like, what they said was really, really mean to the point, I would cry on the spot or, like, just go by myself. And the only, like, person, like I said, that I could be able to tell about this to was my mom. And whenever people would, like, try to mess with me or be mean to me and, like, try to touch me, it just would make me so uncomfortable, and it was hard for me to, like, tell people to stop. And so that's another thing with my autism I struggle with, is I'm very I'm a little more sensitive than most people, and that's something about myself that I can't help just because of my autism. And so it's like whenever I get upset or get mad, it's like it's more hard for me, and it's like I have to be around somebody I know to like comfort me and stuff. And so but yeah, like if someone's saying something mean to me, I'm a bit more sensitive than most people, and it's like hard to know if like somebody's being serious or being funny. And if I'm having trouble understanding what someone's telling me, like if they're telling a story and it's like I didn't understand the first time, I ask them to repeat it, and it just helps me understand better. And it's like I said, I don't do it on purpose. I don't like ask people the same question over and over again just to aggravate them or do it on purpose. It's just so I can be able to understand it, and it helps me just understand it much better, and it's like I don't have to ask them again. Something else about being on the spectrum is that people who are on the spectrum have to have things a certain way. So like with me, I have my posters a certain way. So like if you watch my videos, you can see like my posters are a certain way, and it's like I have to have my shoes tied a certain way. Like on both my left and right shoes, I have my shoelaces done the exact same way on both, and it's like I have to have my shoes a little bit tight, so like it takes me a bit. That's something my dad had noticed when I was little. Whenever I would tie my shoes, he would pay attention to like how I did my shoes a certain way, especially with tying it, because if I don't have things the way I like it, if someone like put something out of place when I had it there, it overwhelms me. And plus, like with my photographic memory, it helps me to remember like putting it in a certain place, so it's like I can know where I put it at, and helps me remember to get to it easily. But when something is out of place, I get very overwhelmed. And so it's like I have my shoes a certain way, I wear my clothes a certain way, and so stuff like that, it just like it overwhelms me a little. But it's like I have to have things, I do things in a certain way. It's like I have to have a routine to be able to help me stay on track, and just help me, and it just helps me like feel relieved and not stress me out a bit. If I'm like doing something that's part of a schedule, it helps me to stay calm. But when something is not on track or on schedule, something like that throws me off. It gets me overwhelmed, like I said. But I do things a certain way, like I brush my teeth a certain way, I have my hair a certain way, especially like my bangs. Whenever I was little, like I would always have my mom trim my bangs, or like whenever I would go to the hair salon to get a haircut, I would make sure to tell somebody that I want my hair done a certain way. Like if you guys couldn't tell, I had actually just gotten my hair colored on Wednesday, and I absolutely love it. I went from like a natural dirty blonde to auburn brown, and it has like little hints of red to like really bring out the brown, and I absolutely love it. And so it's like stepping out of my comfort zone, like with my hair, like getting it colored or like doing highlights and stuff. It takes a bit for me to like adjust the change like that. So it's like with getting my hair colored, it's still taking me a bit to adjust, seeing how different I look. So but like when I do my bangs, it's like I trim them myself just because I finally like have gotten into a certain way that I like it. And so it's like I would have my mom always cut my bangs but low-key if she like had missed a certain spot, like I would go back and actually trim it myself. And so like my mom doesn't know that, but so it's like stuff like that. And yeah, finally, I wanted to let you all know that if you didn't know this about Autism Awareness Month, blue is the color that actually represents autism awareness. I was so excited when I had learned that my favorite color represented autism awareness, something that was very important to me growing up, and that I could finally say that my favorite color represents autism. And also, if you didn't know, the puzzle piece also represents autism awareness. I thought that was so cool, and wanted to show you that. And also, I really hope that with sharing my story and sharing my experiences, like the ups and downs of what I've gone through with having autism, has really helped you guys out and helped you learn more about it better, and helped really spread awareness for it. And I want to end the video with telling you all that having autism is something about myself that I just really, really love. And I love that it makes me stand out in my own way. It makes me unique and different from other people. And that's one of the reasons why I tell people about me having autism. I mainly tell people so it's that they can know that I sometimes have trouble processing and understanding things, and that I need help with, like, asking them to teach me how to do something, mostly like if it's at work or anywhere else if I get confused. But I mainly tell them it's because it's something about myself that's very interesting that not a lot of people really know, and it makes me unique my own way, and it's something about myself that I really love and think is so cool about myself. And I mainly tell people it's so that I can continue helping spread awareness for autism, and to let people know that yes, we do have delays in certain things, and we have to do things differently from other people, but there's more to it than just delays. Is that there's a lot of cool perks to it, and there's a lot of cool things that we can do, and that we're very, very smart, and we are very creative and artistic. It's hard for us to express ourselves, and that truly, like, we're just like everybody else, and we can do a lot of cool things. We just do it in a different way, and that even though it can be hard to express ourselves through words and express how we show love to people, we can express it in different ways. And most importantly, I want everybody to know who is on the spectrum that it's okay to let somebody know that you're autistic if it helps them know that you have trouble in certain areas, but that it's something unique about yourself that makes you stand out. And I want you to know that it's okay to be proud of having autism, and that you should be proud of it, and that you shouldn't look at it as something that's bad. You should look at it as something that's very cool and unique, and that that everybody who has autism, it's very different for a lot of people, including myself. But most importantly, I want you all to know that having autism is amazing, and I consider it something really cool about myself. And I'm very, very thankful for what God has been able to do in me through my autism, and what He's been able to help me accomplish and overcome so much. And I really would not be here if it hasn't been for what God has done in my life through having autism. And for anyone else that is on the spectrum, be proud of having autism and be yourself no matter what. And if someone doesn't accept you for having autism, then that's their loss, because you are amazing, and you are so smart and so creative and artistic, and you should see that as a really cool perk to having autism. And mostly and lastly, I'm going to tell you, just be yourself, and don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do. If you do or don't have a disability, if you do have delays, don't let that stop you from going after your dreams, and be proud of having autism, and be yourself no matter what. And lastly, I want to tell you all is that I don't look at autism as a disability. I look at it as a different kind of ability, and I look at it as something amazing and so cool and unique. And autism is something about myself that I just love, and I'm very proud of, and it's something about myself that I find very cool and unique, and it makes me stand out from people in a different way, and something that's just so amazing. And I hope that with sharing my story with y'all has helped you all learn more about autism, and I hope that we can continue to spread more awareness about it and help people learn more about it. And so I hope that my story has encouraged you all and inspired you, and has helped you all. If you have somebody that is on the spectrum and you don't know what to do, I hope that this has really helped you. And I love you guys so much, and happy Autism Awareness Month. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and happy Autism Awareness Month again. So until then, remember, God loves you so much. He will always be with you wherever you go. And I will see you guys next time. I love y'all. Bye.
Oh, I can make it right.